Hey
And we're live.
guys, we're live. Welcome to Chat Live. I'm here with Shlomit Kowalski, my awesome commenter. There she is, and
Hi,
Dooby
guys.
Harvey, who is joining us today on Jet Live. He's
Hey
got
guys.
some strong stuff over there with him.
What
Hey,
flavor?
Almond,
What flavor?
almond, teshkedim,
Oh,
which
I used to.
since Corona started, like that's my usual flavor of tea is almond tea, and I haven't managed to find it since Corona. I've been looking for it for I don't know 3 months, and yesterday I went to Supersol and they had one box left, and I quickly picked it up. So
We
So
have
for
we have some.
whomever finds a box of Tish Kadim of almond tea, please bring it over to Doobies.
My in-laws stashed a few of them. I have a few in my house, so maybe that's where they went.
you also have cocoa. What's it called? Cocoa Jungle or
Coco Tango.
Cocoa Tango?
No, we finished them all, I think, but my parents have a huge bag of them. So
What is
uh,
Cocoa Tango?
Good Earth teas. They're some of the best teas that I know. They're the tastiest, and they have really amazing quotes on them. Very inspirational. One of them once said, "Do a live stream, and you will be amazed." No, I'm just kidding. um, but they have different flavors. They have sweet and spicy and coco tango and other things, and it's really really good. But they don't sell. They're from the States, so my parents bought like a ton of them, and they still have like tons of coco tango. The almond tea, I had it for a very long time, also just that tea, and then I was like, I can't. I need to switch over. It got too much. But enough about teas.
Enough,
Let's
yeah.
talk. Let's talk about something else with the tea.
Before we finish with it, shout out to Ita. Hi, Ita. She says that tea tastes like cake. So, you're just getting a dessert in a bottle or a mug.
Martin.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're talking about almond or coco tango. That's
a good question.
I'm honored to be Shlomit's first interviewee. So that's
yeah.
I'm really excited.
I'm just gonna do this, and you guys have fun.
Yeah.
And if anything
Bye,
happens,
Stevie.
CB.
Hi, Dooby. How are you doing?
Hey Shlomit, I'm doing well. It's fun to see you guys.
Same here. Same here. Wow. It's been really a while. It was really nice to see each other in the park. Like what was it? Like a week ago, right? For Ita's birthday. Yeah, it was like Shavuot.
Yeah.
Oh my God, time flies.
I don't think we got a chance to have a conversation.
We did not get this. So now we have it. So, first of all, like how you've been doing? How were you keeping yourself busy or entertained through those past months?
It's been a challenging and interesting few months, that's for sure, and it's going to keep on being interesting. So it seems. But it's good that we're finally starting to feel a little bit of a return to life. I've been all right. I'm working from home, so my day job keeps me busy. And the internet keeps me busy.
The internet is meant for beep. You see, everything aligns back to shows. Everything.
And
so, yeah.
I'd love to say that I'm using the time to do all the creative things I want to do, but not as much as I'd like to.
Could you share with us one of the projects you've been working on?
Well, my regular go-to creative project is Lazy Bear, my webcomic.
Lazy Bear. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about him. How is he doing?
Lazy Bear is doing well. Wait, I have just for those who don't know Lazy Bear, this is my little cartoon bear that you can find him on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, he's doing all right, but he's pretty lazy. Like in the whole Corona thing, I only did 2 comic strips, so looking forward to doing more.
We'll be able to see them on Facebook, or you haven't released them yet?
Yeah, well, those 2 I did. I did actually 2 that relate to isolation and home staying at home,
Mm-hmm.
and which for Lazy Bear is hard because he lives alone and he's got to cope. And check them out.
If later you could put the link to Lazy Bear on the comments, that'll be great. You should definitely check it, guys. I enjoy reading them, and I didn't realize you put new ones. I'm kind of mad at myself now.
Well, new means like 4 weeks ago, but yeah.
Of that 4 weeks of not knowing of this gold happening. Okay, Gabby's saying that she loves Lazy Bear too. So
yay! Hi, Gabby.
Yeah, it's really great to see everyone commenting. Hi, Miriam, and hi, Gabby. Yeah. So let's start from the beginning. Since we're like in theater world now, may I ask, how did it all begin for you?
How did it all begin? I'm one of those late bloomers that I only discovered theater at age 30.
Wow.
And yeah, I missed out on like 12 years of shows that I could have done. I was studying in Bezalel. This is 2008. Mm-hmm. And I saw posters on campus for auditions for My Fair Lady, which sounded really, really fun.
My Fair Lady with Bet Hillel.
With Bet Hillel. Mm-hmm. So I walked into the auditions and I did not expect anything. I didn't expect a part. I was just like, this looks so fun. And when I walked into the audition, obviously Michael Burrow was there. And I think he made me sing Happy Birthday or whatever, Michael's.
To be honest, I think I only auditioned for him once, but I also had like my first audition experience, even though I prepared a song, was to sing Happy Birthday. So I feel like it's like such a you cannot not do an audition and not have a Happy Birthday kit song.
I don't even know if my range can still do Happy Birthday. I'll have to work on it with you. But
okay, but I'm wondering, what do you mean by that? Your range is extreme.
Happy birthday.
Here you go. You just did that.
Yeah.
Cool. Sorry.
I went to the audition and the people there, everyone was having a smile on their face and everybody was so talented. I didn't know anything about the show. I knew it had the song The Rain in Spain. Mm-hmm. But that's all I knew. And I got the part of Colonel Pickering. Who's this British Colonel Hugh Pickering? And
did you wear a beard?
He's like a father figure to Eliza. He's very kind because you have Higgins, who's very sharp and witty and basically nasty and mean. And Pickering is like this kind, grandfatherly, empathetic guy. Mm-hmm. But he's also a bit of a comic relief because he's very serious, British proper, and he's a little clueless and unassuming. So. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun, and I made new friends and met new people, and I even had I got some dates out of this show, and it was everything was it opened up this whole new world to me. Mm-hmm. And obviously it was a pleasure working with Michael, who became a large part of my life thanks to that. So yeah, once I did that one show, I was hooked, and I've been every year I've been doing a show. And
wow, that's amazing.
Do you have any?
Sorry, continue. Sorry.
I'm saying my whole social life now in Jerusalem it revolves around you guys. So had I not gone into theater, this wouldn't be I wouldn't have I'd be eating Shabbat meals at my parents every week, which is great, and I love them. But
yeah,
gotta shake it up a bit every now and then.
Shake it up. Exactly. That's amazing. Do you have an approximate of how many shows you did?
Yeah. So one of the things I did during lockdown is I made an Excel sheet of all the shows that I made.
Wow, that's incredible. That's an easy access to a resume in the future.
Yeah. So do you want to know as a set designer or as an actor or both?
Mm-hmm. Whatever you're willing to share.
So let me see. Let me open my little spreadsheet here. And let's start with as an actor.
Oh yeah, for whoever doesn't know, Dooby, aside of being an amazing performer, he's a talented set designer, and I wonder if you did other stuff also for other shows. But like, I had the privilege to see like a lot of your set designs, and they were just extraordinaire. Like, if do you, I remember you had one like in your room. Like, I remember one Zoom talk we had where like you showed one of your, if like you have it still, if you can show it to us.
Yeah, those of you who know my living room, and that's usually what I show in Zoom talks, is, now that we're talking about set design, this is my living room. Is the mountain of.
Oh my god! It took me a minute to understand that's a painting.
Yeah,
I'm still.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It makes my house a lot larger than it really is. That's for sure.
I'm watching Downton Abbey now, so it definitely gave me a Downton Abbey vibe a second.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the backdrop for Daddy Warbucks' mansion in Annie. From it was about 4 years ago, I think, that Michael did this. He also did Annie in 2009, which I was in as Daddy Warbucks.
Cool.
So, but just to answer your question, I acted in 13 shows.
Wow.
13 shows as an actor. And as a set designer, quick, I did 1, 2, not as many as I would have. Oh no, actually about the same. Like also I think 13.
Have you had shows where you were also set designing and performed in? Or usually you try to separate it?
No, I've had quite a few shows of doing both. So like in the past 10 years, I've been doing all of the Hillel sets. So any Hillel show I did in the past 10 years, I was set designer and actor. Avenue Q in AACI 2016. I was Trekkie Monster and also the set designer. And what else? Last show I did was Fiddler on the Roof at the Hillel.
Yeah.
I played the part of Fiedka, and I did the set, all the Anatevka buildings, houses, rundown shtetl houses. The first show that I both did acting and set design was Guys and Dolls in 2012.
Was that your first set designing period, or that was like you said, the first joint?
No, so the very first set design was Les Miserables in 2011.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So what happened was I was already involved in Hillel as an actor, and Michael's previous set designer was English, and she moved back to England, and I took over. Like when like in the earlier shows, I helped out as assistant set designer a couple of times. And then she moved to England, and the spot was vacated, and Michael hired me. And that was my first set, was Les Miserables. I was also supposed to act in that show. That was the famous story where everybody above the age of 20 had to leave the cast because of a licensing issue. And so everybody was really devastated about it, but for me it was good because I could focus on the set, and like I was kind of happy because I still got to be involved, and then I can also see it from the audience. And the fun thing about being a set designer is that you sit there and you can watch the show and you can feel part of it, but you don't have to do anything. You just sit there and enjoy the scenery.
That's amazing. I see Dale has a very amazing, has a lovely question regarding set design. If Sebi, you can put it up. So when creating scenery for a show, please read it.
So Dale asks, when creating scenery for a show, do you present your ideas and stick to the plan? Or are you told what to create and go from there? A combination of both? Have you ever walked because of creative differences, or do you have more of a collaborative spirit? So I am usually told, usually the director gives me a very good idea of what they need. Like they tell me which scenes need to happen, and a lot of times what the limitations are, and what the materials that I'll get to work with, and obviously there's a set constructor. So I think it's more accurate to call me a set painter than a set designer, because normally the whole construction side of it is less my design, and I'm more interested in painting the backdrops and painting the set pieces. But sometimes if I need a certain piece, then I might design it and I'll talk to the set constructor and they'll build it. But usually I work with set designers that are, like Reuven Leitush, who's an artist in his own right, and he has his own vision of how he's constructing things. And then I will, incorporate that and paint it. And sometimes he'll be creating something, and sometimes I will ask for something. But most of my creative efforts are in the painting. Sticking to the plan. So do I present my ideas? The answer is no. I kind of make things up as I go. I collect. When the director tells me what they need, I then spend the next few weeks doing a lot of research. So if I have to do a shtetl in Poland, then I'll be Google imaging, and I'll be keeping my eyes open, and I'll look for online references and inspirations, and I'll collect a lot of inspirations. And then a lot of times I'll show up without a sketch and just start painting the set. Wow. On the backdrop itself. Like I'll just start working directly on without a sketch. I don't necessarily say that's the best way to work. Most set designers make a sketch first and show it to the director. I'm lucky to work mostly with directors that just trust me, and they say, look, I need a backdrop, just make it. And then I make it, and they're usually happy. And as for a collaborative spirit, the answer is yes. I would not have been able to do any of my sets without having many talented volunteers that help me paint. And all the sets I've worked on, I've always had people helping me. Oftentimes it's people from the cast, sometimes it's people from the community. I was very lucky to collaborate with Kim Glassman, for those who know her, who's a very talented artist in her own right. And she had been my assistant set designer in many shows. And you bet there are artistic differences when you work with other artists. And I've also worked with my brother a few times. Before he moved to Chicago, he's also a good painter. And sometimes you have arguments. But I think in the end, we are all just happy with the final result, even though in the process, sometimes there are artistic differences. I think that's part of the process and part of the collaboration. And and mostly I do want to, when I have artists working for me, then I have that problem of I want them to be independent and paint. But then if I have, I have to sign off on it. So if there's something that doesn't sit right with me, then we can reach an artistic difference. And so if I'm the set designer in the end, sometimes I'll let go and I'll get another opinion. I'll bring Michael in and I'll say, look, I don't like these cobblestones. And say, no, it's great. And a lot of times I myself don't, I had a certain idea, and then one of my collaborators does it differently. Sometimes what they do is better than what I would have originally thought. And I need to be flexible enough to see that. And sometimes I'm not flexible, and sometimes I have to correct it or adjust it to fit my vision. And that's often that process goes by pretty smoothly. And sometimes people are like, hey, that's not cool, this should have been different. And but that's how it is when you're a director, or when you're the person with the responsibility. In the end, you have to sign off on it. And by the way, even my sets, in the end, the director is signing off on it, because they have to put it. If the director doesn't like my set, then they get the final word. So there's always a person who who has the responsibility. So I have the responsibility to deliver a set that I am proud of. And so I don't, you know, and I don't deliver a set unless I am proud of it. But being proud of it doesn't always mean I get my way. Sometimes it means that I learn to enjoy other people's talents. So
yeah. Wow. Thank you, Dale, for asking that question, and thank you, Dooby. It was, I think, especially what you just said, that sometimes it's not a question of winning an argument. It's a question of like hearing one another and sometimes like trying like to find the even way, to find this collaborative area between, if you have it more tilted to your side or to the other. So I think it's a very, in everything we do in life, I think it's a very like a lesson. Just wanted to ask like briefly before we continue to the performance side of you, of your craft. When did you start art or painting? Was that like was that your field before? Because you did say you studied in Bezalel, but like how did you get started in art or set like?
That's a very good question. I think it goes back to kindergarten.
Back in kindergarten.
It probably goes back even before, because
oh wow.
My father likes to draw. You see this? There's a statue behind me.
Yes, of a head, a very beautiful head.
My father made that when he was in high school. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it made from?
It's bronze. I think it's like a metal statue. Nice. Should I bring it down, or maybe later?
Maybe later, but that's amazing. Wow, you guys are talented.
And my grandfather, you know, my father's father, he had a comic book company. So I grew up reading comic books and stuff. So there was always an artistic legacy maybe to the family a little bit. I remember a couple of traumatic experiences in kindergarten where my ability to draw was kind of poor, and other kids like laughed at my drawing ability. And I remember feeling very bad about that. And one day, I think when I was 6, I said, I'm going to learn how to draw well. And I'm going to draw a person now, and I won't make that person a stick figure. I'm going to make it with a little more, flesh it out of it. It won't just be lines. It will be shapes. And I remember like drawing a picture of a person. It was not a stick figure. And I was very proud of that. And I think that was the first time where I decided that I can draw and express myself through art. And throughout grade school, I used to doodle in my notebooks all the time. And I would get into trouble with teachers because for some reason you weren't allowed to doodle back then. I don't know why. So I was always drawing and always enjoyed it. And my grandmother always told me that it's, you know, you should always know how to draw well so you'll have something to fall back on if you ever don't have a job.
Wow.
So then I guess I was just doodling and stuff. And after my army service, I studied computer science, and I worked as a programmer for a few years. And I took some painting lessons at the Israel Museum, which I really enjoyed. And I remember I wasn't enjoying my job so much as a programmer, and I ended up quitting. And I was like, now what do I do with myself? And I was like, you know what? I always liked drawing. Maybe I should go to art school. And so I went to Bezalel and I studied visual communications, which is like the graphic design and illustration department. My final project in Bezalel was a comic book about me and my grandfather. Let me see if I have one here.
That'll be amazing.
I mean, I do have one. Let me get it.
Okay.
No, I think it's a good time for me to jump back in. Hey, Shlomi.
Hi.
While we're waiting for Dooby.
What's up?
Here.
This was my final project in Bezalel. It's a comic book called Reba Tunisai, 1/4 Tunisian. And it's about, well, there's like really nice pictures inside.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have to see it in person. Please do.
Yeah, you should. I'll get you a copy.
But that would be amazing.
This is about me and my grandfather. And he took me to Tunisia, his birth country, to see where he grew up. And this was a comic book about that. And it includes his memories from during the war. This is the Grand Synagogue of Tunis, which we visited. And here's my grandfather's telling, how during the German occupation, the Nazis turned the synagogue into a stable and a warehouse.
Wow.
And when the Allies liberated it, the Jews had a big inaugural prayer, which was this thing. Yeah, this is like the synagogue from the inside.
Did you do it from imagination, or you actually you sketched it from pictures you have taken from the trip?
So some of it, some frames are sketched. Wait, where's the camera? Like this frame over here was sketched from a picture.
Wow.
A lot of frames, I didn't have a picture. Like these are, you can say it's from my mind. Like, I had to draw me and my grandfather hanging out in the street and walking, and him hanging out and stuff. And that was without photo reference, like just illustration. There is photo reference to see what does my grandfather look like, but I don't have an exact photo of that frame, and I have to sketch it.
Well, I was talking more about the scenery. You had the inside of the shul, right? That was.
Oh, that I worked. That I had some photos that I took, and I used them as references for that specific scene. But I put it together. I didn't have an exact. Like this, I'll look at the synagogue thing again. You can see that there's people. These are the Allied soldiers that liberated Tunis, and the people from the community. So I didn't have one photo with that exact scene, but I had a photo of the interior of the synagogue, and then I looked at photo references of soldiers and what people were wearing at the time, and I put together, the scene in an illustration.
That's incredible! Wow.
Yeah, so that was.
I want to ask you more about the arts. I want to ask what made you go into comics. Was the Reba Tunisai was the first comic you wrote, or you already had some trials or other works of it before?
Reba Tunisai was my first ambitious comic, and sadly it was my last to date of a really ambitious, realistic style comic. I mean, since then I've done Lazy Bear, but that's
Lazy Bear's not ambitious.
Lazy Bear is now what?
Oh wait, it's lazy. I forgot.
I did some comics before Betzalel, just my own things. I never really published them anywhere or even put them online. But I had some funny things that I worked on. They weren't my best work, but as a kid, I drew a lot of comics, and I guess just growing up in a family that had a comic book tradition is kind of naturally led me to making comics.
That's amazing. Well, I have so much to ask you, but I think we are gonna jump ahead to the other side of you, which this is the way I met you, which is theater. Yeah. For the life of me, I do not know what was the first show, or how we got introduced. I think maybe it was through the Coffee Net, and then I don't know if we ever did a show together, other than me in cabaret helping backstage.
Exactly our first show together.
Shop. Oh my God, I forgot.
2013.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Little Shop, it was one of my favorites.
Shlomi, what I've discovered on these Jet Live. It messes with your memory. You're always
it does. It really does. And
I have an Excel sheet of all the shows I've been in, so I can just look.
You'll be like, I wasn't in this show with Shlomi. I was in this show. But yeah, wow. Little Shop was literally our first show together. And I think also how I was brought in also to the Coffee Net world, thanks to Eleanor. So we were talking about how you got introduced to it, and how your first show was, in fact, My Fair Lady. Aviela asked a beautiful question, which I think is similar to what you asked Brian yesterday, which is, what was your most significant role you ever played and why? And I think it's a different take for the question that CB tackled me back when, and no one seems to like that question. So,
it was being Aviela's romantic partner and singing love songs to Aviela and Hello Dolly.
And Hello Dolly.
No, actually, now that Aviela asks it, okay, let's first answer the non-Aviela aspect.
The non-Aviela aspect, okay.
Probably playing the Beast was... Wait, what was exactly your question? My favorite role? Or
Can you put it up, Charles? CB, sorry.
Most significant role. Yeah, so I think playing the Beast was my most significant role. I really, really wanted that part so badly. Michael did the show in 2010, and I auditioned for it, and he told me, listen, you're a good actor, but you just can't sing. The Beast has this big song, If I Can't Love Her. And he said, there's no way you'll ever be able to sing that, and I just can't give you that role. You can be Gaston if you want, but you can't be the Beast. And I ended up not being Gaston because I had my cousin's wedding that year. But then he did. So
it all worked out.
Yeah, he did it again in 2014. And this time I fought tooth and nail to get the part of the Beast. And I actually practiced this song with Aviela. I called her up and said, Aviela, I have an audition tomorrow. I need to be able to sing this song. Now, this is after like 2 months of me trying to sing this song every day, listening to it in the shower, singing it when I was walking the street. Because he goes really high, and my register is pretty low. Like he goes like, let the world be done with me. Like it goes really high. And I had to practice a lot, but because I knew I'd passed the acting part because I could do like, Bill, you came back. You know, I can do the Beast's voice. But if she doesn't eat with me, she doesn't eat at all. You know, but
sure that wasn't
the superficial aspect. Like what I really liked about the Beast is that he's a very vulnerable person who made mistakes, and he's got this rose that is losing its petals, and he has to find love before that happens. And I think a lot of single people here can maybe relate to that. And this feeling that, you know, you have this beast mask around you, and that in order for someone to love you, they have to, you know, to kill the beast. Not really, but to see the inside. So I really related to him. I remember loving the movie, the 1991 movie, as a kid. So he's just such a great character, and he has redemption in the end. Because he doesn't have to. He could have died, and the show would have been great too. But,
no, we don't want people dying. It's a musical.
But then he resurrects.
He's saving Gaston, and then he slips.
But then he gets resurrected, and he's a prince again, and he gets the girl. And it's like, yeah, you know what? There is hope. You know, as long as the candle is burning, you can still fix. And now let's get to the Aviela part. I think one of maybe my best acting experience was playing Cliff Bradshaw in Cabaret.
Yes.
Because he doesn't really sing. He has like one song, and most of what he does is acting. And it's a play with all these bizarre and comical characters. And then you have Cliff, who's just a regular dude. And playing a regular dude is hard. It's very easy to play a character. You just look up the cartoon version or the movie version, and you make an impression of the character. But when you're playing a regular guy who gets upset, who's vulnerable, who is trying to get by, who's not very confident, but you know, Cliff was a deep character, and it was almost like doing a straight play and not a musical. And Aviela was very instrumental in making me act, because she would not if the scene was not right, she wouldn't sign off on it. And even after opening night, she brought me and Maya, who played Sally.
Yeah.
And she said, look, you guys are not doing this. We have a scene where we get into a fight. And she said, this scene is not working. Even though we were already in the middle of the run, Aviela was like, no, we're going to stay here and we're going to do this scene again until you guys get it right. And for me as an actor, that was a really great experience. And I always say, and I think everybody who's interviewed here says this, like, I'm not in theater for the acting, I'm in community theater for the friendship and for meeting people and for sharing a creative experience together, but mostly just making friends and spending quality time with people. And then the bonus is the craft. And in terms of the acting the craft of acting, playing Cliff, I think, was my deepest, maybe most significant experience.
How much money does Miriam get for guessing that? I think that she she thought that was going to be the answer. Miriam Metzinger. Well, I think so. She said, "I can guess" with a smile.
The Beast, I would say, was maybe all over the most significant, but then in terms of as an actor, I would say it was Cliff. So
I have to say something. So I have to just.
Miriam, it was a pleasure working with Miriam because we had a few scenes where all I had to do was sit down and watch her sing. So that was fun for me.
I just wanted to point out what you said, which is really interesting for me, is the straight character. Like you say, it's the play with the musical. Like Cliff kind of is that character who's acting. He's in the play, and everyone else in the musical. That's with comedy. The best comedy really comes out when the straight characters, the straight man, the guy who's like totally oblivious to all the jokes, and they do that. They act like everything's normal and whatnot, and people will be laughing hysterically because everything is so funny, and there's this one person on there who's like the audience that has no idea what's going on, and
he gives the point of view of the audience, like,
and it's so fast,
by these wacky characters. And it gives you
he's vulnerable,
But the straight character doesn't necessarily get the acclaim. Like the acclaim goes to Groucho Marx, and I forgot is it Zeppo? One of the Marx brothers is the straight one.
No, Zeppo was the straight character. He was the fourth brother.
Yeah.
He wasn't in all the movies.
Yeah. But Zeppo, Zeppo's part is important too.
But he got the girl. He always got the girl.
Oh, okay. So, Cliff doesn't get the girl in the end. But
no.
But it's really interesting why you guys. Sorry.
But he gets the girl in the middle.
Yeah.
And he also gets a guy.
Well, Miriam is writing a Cliff question. Cliff, did you suspect your friend was a Nazi? As Cliff. Answer as Cliff. Channel Cliff.
Channel Cliff. No, I didn't see that coming, actually. I had a moment of revelation where everything kind of turned upside down. The world turned upside down.
Exactly. I have a question beforehand. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear what you said just now.
No, so I just said that my Nazi friend was played by Howie Metz, who's a talented dude and fun to work with.
Yes. No, I was helping backstage for Cabaret, and it was like an amazing thing to see you guys on. Because unfortunately we're running short on time. Yeah, CB, even shows like Cabaret can be enjoyable.
No, I love. Was that something that Miriam said? You did not see that coming. Is that something? Is that like an inside joke in the cast?
Oh, I did not see that.
I was laughing at that.
I see. I wanted to kind of like finish this up, which of course I wish not because I have so many questions. What's your recommendation for the newcomer to the theater community, to the first edition? Like, what's your advice towards the new person coming in?
I would say just come to have fun and come with no expectations, because there are no guarantees. Some of us are fortunate to get roles, and sometimes we don't get roles. Most of the time, I guess you don't get the role you want exactly, and you might have to be in the chorus, or you might be assistant set designer, not set designer. Like if you come with very high demands and expectations, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment. But if you come for an adventure and just say, you know what, I just want to do something fun, hang out with creative and talented people, and enjoy the ride, then that, I think, is the best attitude. And when you do that, you will get noticed at some point. Because I've met newcomers that were very insecure and did not feel comfortable with themselves. And it took them 3, 4, 5 shows sometimes until suddenly they shine. And you're like, wow, this person is now a star. Because sometimes, you need some nurturing. Some people maybe have natural confidence, and they feel comfortable immediately, and they start as leads and whatnot. But some people need nurturing, need to gain some positive experiences, and so what I would say is, come with no expectations besides having fun. And the other thing I would say is avoid drama, and there will always be pressure. Okay, there will always be pressure in the last week. And there will always be arguments and fights and things that in the last week before a show, sometimes, somebody might say the wrong thing and the director could kick them out of the show. And, there's always, everybody's under pressure. And if that happens, then try to be the calm person. I'm not saying that I always am, but expect drama and try to be the calm person that, people can turn to, that doesn't lose his cool or her cool, and like you can mediate and you can talk to people. And I've seen a lot of cases where, a week before the show, we were like, there's no way this show is happening because of some drama or something that happened. And then if you know ahead of time that these things will happen, then you're boosting your immune system so that when it does happen, you will have the tools not to freak out and to keep your cool. Now, it's a lot easier when you're just an actor. If you're the director, then you should freak out. I don't know. But if the responsibility is on someone else, then you can afford to be cool.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you very much, Dooby. I very much enjoyed this interview. For next week, we have 2 special guests. On Wednesday, I'm going to have the honor to have Shachal Shammai on our channel. Shachal used to be in our community theater back when for a couple shows. Little Night Music with J-Town Playhouse, and Annie Get Your Gun with Encore. And since then, he moved to London. He studied musical theater in an MA, and eventually became a voice teacher, a very excellent voice teacher, and also he joined forces with David Jamal and had the Jewish Cabaret assemble. So, and then they also had a new show created. They came last year to do a musical here, which I saw, and I thought it was really amazing. And on Thursday we're having Yael, right? Yael Villiers-Goldstein, which I'm very excited for. And I'm looking forward to talk to her about theater and
that will
everything.
Be a very interesting conversation.
So I hope you guys will join us next week. Dooby, thank you. And
guys. I miss
And
you already.
Miss you too. Hopefully we get to see each other soon. And thank you for the opportunity. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.